So, hi, Sarah.
Hi.
It's good to see you. It's been a while and a
It
lot
has.
of water under the bridge.
Here in Iowa, we have about 45% of Iowans fully vaccinated. There's a slightly larger group that has already had a first dose and they're waiting for their second dose. Every single person who's vaccinated, they have a much, much decreased risk of contracting the virus. It's looking like the effectiveness of the mRNA vaccines are somewhere between 85 and 90% to prevent you from getting sick, but they're all but 100% protective against the worst possible outcomes: hospitalization, death, long-term disability. That was always the big goal for these vaccines, is to basically turn what would be a virus that could kill us into a virus that just might make us sick for a while, but then we'll get over it and we'll be okay. I still am super pro vaccine. We just got notification yesterday from Pfizer that they're investigating a potential third dose, another booster, see if that's going to increase immunity, especially with antibodies that wane between 6 and 12 months. If that gets approved, I will be the literal first person lined up for my next shot, because everything I know about this virus, everything I know about my immune system especially, I want as many antibodies on board protecting me just in case I come across someone who's unvaccinated, they don't know that they're infected. Because when it comes to Delta, one person can infect anywhere from 5 to 8 people. That's far greater than the virus that we had last fall, which could infect about 2 to 4 people. I would rather everybody get vaccinated, everybody be safe, especially when there's a more transmissible virus out there. It's just common sense to me. It was about a week and a half ago, IDPH notified their county health departments that they would be going to once weekly updates every Wednesday. And the reasoning for that was the state, and especially the public health entity, is trying to transition from a pandemic response to a pandemic recovery. It's a different thought process. It is a thought process that I personally do not agree with. We are not through yet. We need to get at least 75% of Iowans fully vaccinated before we can start thinking about true recovery, where we're only going down to once a week notifications from IDPH like they give us for influenza. We aren't anywhere near that yet. We need at least another 30% of Iowans, about a million people, to go and get vaccinated. And the biggest groups that are the ones that are at the most risk right now are kids, because kids under the age of 12 aren't even approved for vaccination yet. So moving into the fall, we don't know if they'll have approval before school starts. We know it's going to be close, probably September. So I'm really worried about littler kids going into elementary schools and not having the mitigation measures in place, not having the data in place so we can see what's happening in individual counties, school districts, communities. And that's a tricky thing for parents, because parents don't know if it's okay to send their kid back. Is it safe enough? Do enough teachers have vaccinations? Do enough families have vaccinations that we can create a bubble around our kids? And we just don't have that yet, especially considering 12 to 15-year-olds. We don't have enough vaccination among them either. They're actually a much lower percentage, about 35% of 12 to 15-year-olds in Iowa have only gotten vaccinated. We need to up that number as well.
How low will they go with the for the children?
So the data, what the groups that Pfizer and Moderna were and are looking at are 2 to 11-year-olds. So we're expecting all the way down to pre-K children, daycare kids should get vaccinated. There is another separate clinical trial going on for 6 months to 2 years, because immunity looks different for every age group. As a child ages up, their ability to have an adaptive immunity that is greater and more robust, that increases with age. So we're seeing all these little groups. And I think the next one we're going to get data on is going to be the younger kids. We're expecting that data in August, and then the FDA will make their recommendation, and then the immunization board, ACIP, they'll make their recommendation, and then states will approve it. same process as they did for the adults and the 16-year-olds and the 12-year-olds. It'll just go down again to two.
School. Can't they push these things along a little bit? I mean, can't they see schools coming? And
yeah, they do see schools coming. I'm currently a little, I wouldn't say miffed, but concerned with the CDC. The director of the CDC, it would have been yesterday, said that schools should open whether or not there are mitigation measures in place, whether or not vaccination is high enough, that it's critical for kids to go to school. And I agree that it's critical, no question. We need our kids to have social interaction. We need our kids to have educational achievement. No question here. I don't want any kid to get COVID because we don't know what it's going to look like in 5, 10, 20 years. We already know that about 1 in 3 kids who get COVID end up with some version of long COVID somewhere on the spectrum. Might be lung issues, it might be cardiovascular issues, could be neurological issues. I have friends with children with long COVID, and I wouldn't wish disability on any child. I grew up disabled. I'd rather every kid have every opportunity, every physical ability to just run, jump, play, do everything. And part of that is safety. If our CDC director says that we need to put kids in schools, which I think we should have kids in schools, we need hybrid, we need pods, we need kids separated, we need masks in our community, we need upped vaccination rates. We need to prioritize the education and safety of our kids. If we do that, every single Iowan just steps up and does that together, then I think schools will be reasonably safe. But, and this is my issue, looking back at last school year, where mask mandates were in some schools the whole year, other schools not the whole year, and getting the data that I've gotten from superintendents with doing Freedom of Information Act requests, what we thought was happening at the time, it's about 2 to 3 times worse what was actually happening. And that was due in part to the fact that the Department of Public Health, Iowa Department of Public Health, said that schools could report any positives less than 6 as an unknown less than 6. They didn't have to tell you. So if a school had 1 positive kid or 6 positive kids at one time, they didn't have to notify a particular number. But as a result, the data that's coming in from superintendents, and superintendents are wonderful, they're very helpful and supportive, it was much worse. It was much more stressful on teachers, students, families, superintendents, school staff. I also, one of the hardest parts of the FOIA data coming in, 2 staff deaths that I had not known about at the time have come in. And looking forward to this school year, I don't want teachers to go through that again. I don't want families to go through that again. I don't want kids to go through that again. Because losing a teacher, a favorite gym coach to a virus and not having your teacher there when you go back, that's just, it's very difficult. And we need to be making our schools, our state as safe as we can, because it's beautiful outside right now, but in 2 months, it's going to start getting cold again. And we're all going to be going back inside, and we got to make sure our masks are on, our distance is away from each other, even when we're vaccinated, just in case. It's always better to be safe than not safe. I think going forward, the best thing that we can do, since the Iowa Department of Public Health no longer is providing us with daily updates that we can just easily check on our phones, we need to be very vigilant, very cautious with our own behavior. Mask up, shield up, get vaccinated, stay physically distanced, not socially distanced. We can still socialize. We can elbow bump. We can do all the things we did last year. But right now, while things are calm, that's good. Take some time to take care of yourself. But we're going to be going into fall. Everybody's going to go back inside again. And the virus is going to start to speed up. We've already seen it starting in some counties here and there. Calhoun County, Webster, Hamilton. Blackhawk's been having issues, Winneshiek. And as everybody else starts to pull inside, we're going to start seeing things speed up again. It's all based on us. We can speed it up or we can slow it down. I would like us to slow it down. Still on Facebook as Sara Ann Willette. I'm still on Twitter as Amethyst Starlight, or you can just look up Iowa COVID-19 tracker. That's probably a lot easier. I still have my website. County data is updated every 7 days. State data is every day because I'm pulling that from the CDC. That's iowacovid19tracker.org. I'm accessible by email as well. I'm everywhere, and I am trying to keep as many of us as safe as I possibly can by providing data.
All right. Thanks.